We're here looking for gaper clams. Gaper clams can be in a multitude of different substrates, from this hard packed sand like this to muddy areas. I prefer digging in the hard packed sand because it's easier to get after them. Right here you can see the show. It's quite a bit bigger than this dime, maybe 2 dimes across, and it's fairly large. This one's standalone. Sometimes you can find multiple of these big holes together, so we're going to dig this. They're going to exist anywhere from 1 foot even up to 3 feet down. Commonly you find them in that 18 to 24 inch range. So one thing I like to do before I start digging is to take an arrow or a stick and push it right down that neck hole there, and that's going to give me a good line to dig on. Now I don't want to dig straight at that marker because I could potentially cut the neck off, and even though that wouldn't be a detriment to our ability to harvest that clam, it's a waste of meat. So what I like to do is start just to the side of it and start digging. In order to dig these, I like to use a flat nose shovel. Really anything would work, but I'm just moving a bunch of dirt all at once. When I dig, I like to take nice smooth layers off so I don't wear myself out. I'm potentially going to be digging a lot of these clams, so I want to make it as easy on my back as possible. So I'm just taking layer after layer. And the farther down you get, the more careful you want to be that you're actually going to potentially hit the side of that clam. So even though you're jumping down with force, you're pressing down with force, it's a controlled motion. So one thing people do in order to keep their holes from caving in on them is use a 5-gallon bucket at this point with the bottom cut off. And that's going to make sure that your walls stay intact and don't collapse on you. That's especially important when you have a higher tide. Right now we're almost at a -2, so this is a very good tide, and thus very unlikely that we're going to have a cave-in. And it's that easy. It looks like we went down approximately that 18-inch mark and found this nice small gaper. And you can see they're called gapers because it has this gape on top here that allows for that neck to stay in. They dig so deep in the substrate that they have that going up most of the time, so it keeps them safe from predators digging so far down, but it is a tougher existence down there, so they've evolved this long neck to be able to reach up and feed. So when we're done digging, it's also very important to fill our holes back in. It doesn't have to be a perfect job, it doesn't have to be exactly like you left it, but what you don't want to do is leave big mounds of sand on an area of undisturbed beach like this, because that could suffocate potentially any of the clams, especially juvenile clams that are living over here in this substrate that might not have the horsepower to dig back up and out. So it's not perfect, it doesn't take much time, and it does a lot of help for the longevity of the species.